mourning. It's like mourning a period of your life that, you know, you get that first 6 months. I feel like especially with your first child, that first 6 months is such a journey, right, with your first child. And then you get to 6 months and it's like that whole chapter is just closing. And it's hard to believe that it's even at that point yet.
Welcome to Fika's Focus. Voices leading change.
All right, kia ora, we are back here we've got Ashley back. Ashley is back. She's back. Today we are actually talking about a topic that's not just tied to Ashley, but it's also about the return to work. It's about mums, first child, child going into care, and then coming back into work, mum guilt, all those sorts of things that we have to support mums in particular with. And so just some background. So Ash has worked for us for a while now. I think we've probably
3 years.
Started with us at the Batch in Pat Beach. Then her and Anthony have gone away and had baby Tate. Baby Tate is now at that 6 month mark, and so Ashley is coming back into the Livingston crew and going back into work. And we've just been going through a settling process with baby Tate, and yeah, it seems like you had baby, we watched them come into the world, and now boom, here we are.
I know, it's been so fast.
Yeah.
Fastest 6 months ever.
So I think today's podcast is really important because how you feel is probably how a lot of mums will feel. And I think, unless you're just real cold and be like, you know, maybe you are like that. I don't know. I doubt it. I know from my personal experience when Marlo went into care, I know I was certainly very anxious in those sorts of scenarios. So so thank you for allowing us to have a chat to you about it. Right. So, how are you feeling?
Leading up to it, I honestly didn't feel any particular way about him starting. It wasn't until I dropped him off for his first alone visit yesterday. I was a little bit sad to leave him, had a little cry at home, but it didn't last very long. I'm not really nervous or worried about it at all, mostly probably because I've already worked there as well, so yes. I already understand the environment that he's coming into. I've worked with everybody before at multiple centres, and I just know how great the staffing team are, the teachers, they're amazing. So I know that he's going to be really well taken care of. And I know he's so ready for it. You know, he's so studious and inquisitive, and he's so clever. I can't offer him all the same things that the centre can offer him at home. Because, you know, life gets in the way, you're busy, you do stuff. So the centre can offer him so much more during the day that I can't offer him all the time. So I'm really actually excited for him to start more than nervous about it.
Yeah, you make good points there, and I think it certainly helps because you know the team. But let's just go into, so his settling, he's in with Soph. There's actually a really cool reel up about that and talking through that process. So what does that look like in settling, Tate? What does it look like for you dropping off, and what has Sophie and them been doing?
So drop-offs have been really good. So I've pretty much just been one-on-one setting up our visits with Sophie. And Sophie's made me feel really at ease. You know, there hasn't been a, sort of strict time. It's been a little bit, whenever you can get in. And drop-offs have just been so smooth. Like one of the first drop-offs, she gave him a bottle, which she actually took from her, surprisingly. And every time I've kind of just tried to make an effort for him to really connect with her. So instead of me holding him the whole time, really trying to let Sophie hold him and seeing if he allows her to do so, playing with him and stuff. I mean, as much as you want to hold him the whole time yourself, that's not very beneficial when I walk out the door later on. And she's been so great helping with that whole process, and not, nothing's been forced or anything like that, which makes you feel so comfortable leaving them there. And I've watched her interact with him. I've also witnessed her put him to sleep. And she sends me photos and updates, which just puts your mind at ease basically the whole time they're there. Yeah,
and your anxiety levels? How are they? How are you feeling in terms of the return to work? Not so much Tate. I mean, because now when you've had all this time, whatever you wanted to do in the day is there. Now all of a sudden you're on a clock.
Yeah, I definitely do have some anxiety about how my day is now going to look. You know, our mornings are pretty sorted, but again, sometimes they're not. So it's about trying to figure out, you know, how I'm going to make that work and how I'm also going to fit in all the other stuff that we do in a day into that work day, and where everything sort of falls in place. But I know that I'm a hard worker and that I'll figure it out somehow. It just will take me a good adjustment period, I think.
Yeah, and I think what's important in this space is that, and the beauty of ECE is you do get to work with your children. I think that's a real overlooked benefit. I know, again, personally, we had Marlo and Frankie in with us when we started Future Focus. I must admit, like, I was over at Commonwealth Games and I was, think about it now, I was like watching on FaceTime Frankie's farewell, and I was like absolutely actually quite broken about it, and I was like sitting in the lobby at the hotel in Manchester, in Birmingham, bawling my eyes out, watching. I actually found it really hard to see her leaving Future Focus, because she was obviously our last child being there. That part was actually really hard, but it is the beauty of ECE in that space is you get to work with your children. You can go and see Tate, or you'll be able to see them right from your kitchen.
Through my window.
Yeah, and there's some real big benefits there to that. And what about, I'm lucky enough to know Ants well enough. I don't think he's got a huge amount of concern, but I could be wrong. How was he feeling though?
He was definitely a bit sad yesterday and today when I returned home without him, because usually when he gets home from work, we're just hanging out. But no, he has a lot of trust in Future Focus as well as I do, and knowing you guys as well. And he also knows quite a few of the staff members. Because obviously we have one of our vending machines. In Terrace Views. But no, it was pretty much just the reality that hit him that he was going to finish work and we weren't actually going to be there, you know, to hang out with him when he got home. But he's also aware that he can go pick up Tate in the afternoon, which is great for him because he has afternoons off. So again, another great thing about the flexibility of it all.
And I think for dads, I think it's kind of just, it's not a given that they're going to be okay, especially in this situation where Ants could come home and literally have the day where Tate's, you know, up and active, and especially when they stop sleeping as much as they do when they're little. And you just, I know as a dad, I got really used to, with Marlo especially, like, and I must admit, I was a nightmare for frequent absence because Marlo was meant to be enrolled from 8 till 3, and I would drop off at 10, and I would, and then I would go and visit at 11:30 and come back coach, and then I'd go and visit at 1 and take her. And then we'd just go and hang out, and I was a nightmare. I was always signing forms saying that, we really do still want those hours. But my anxiety, and I think we've got to acknowledge that as fathers, especially with our first children in that space, we do get anxious about it, and we get sad because things change and the access is not there all the time, so it does make it tough. It's
weird. It's almost like I was thinking about it this morning, it's like mourning a period of your life that you know, you get that first 6 months. I feel like especially with your first child, that first 6 months is such a journey, right, with your first child. And then you get to 6 months and it's like that whole chapter is just closing. And it's hard to believe that it's even at that point yet. But then you're moving on to a new exciting chapter that you're just kind of mourning kind of what you had previously. Because it just flies by so quick.
You put that so well. You do mourn it because they're these little people, so vulnerable, literally cannot survive without you. And
you're never going to get that again.
No, you know? Because you have another child and there's 2 of them. And
that's the sad
it goes up
and
100%.
The beauty of it all though, right?
It's a very good point you make, because you have a second child and it goes up 100% in children, so it just changes. And you know, we are lucky to see a lot of first time parents walk in, and mums and dads, and we're lucky to experience and the reason I say lucky is because we get to experience the opening of the new chapter, exactly what you're talking to, but we also have to help them acknowledge exactly what you've just framed up. almost, the funeral of
Yeah, I mean, it is.
that
It's
6
like
months
you're
or year.
mourning just a part of your life that, you know, is no longer, you're no longer at that stage of your life. You're moving into the somewhat easier, somewhat harder
Yeah.
new chapter. But I think, when you kind of acknowledge that, it kind of seemed a little less scary. You know,
Yes.
it's just a part that you're no longer in.
Yes.
And that's, I guess, that makes it more beautiful to look back on because you only had that for a very, very short time.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And again, you know, if you guys have more children, I'm sure you probably will. Well, actually, I don't know.
It'll be very different.
I don't know. But again, you've raised such a great point because that will never happen again.
No, and like they're so much older for such a longer period of time. But, you know, they're only this little. I mean, not Tate, he wasn't really little.
No.
But they're only this little jelly bean for you know a very short while.
And in terms of, so because obviously Tate's going into Livingston, and there's how's his response been to like being around other children, babies? What's it look like from your view and opinion?
He's very funny. He's obviously not been around a huge amount of babies or children, a couple, but he's so interested in them. You know, like he laughs, he giggles, smiles, he wants to interact. The only time he kind of kicks off is if someone cries or screams at him,
right?
Because he's not used to that.
Yeah.
But I know he's very interested, especially in ones like Frankie.
Yes.
You know,
one of the veterans of the room.
Ones and,
Frankie's one of the veterans in there. She's been there since day dot.
She's great.
Experienced.
Well, she used to sit on my belly when I was pregnant, so I feel like they have an unspoken bond with each other. But I feel like he's going to absolutely love it, and he's also a big boy, so I feel like you know he's going to be rough and tumble, you know, just like a few of the other kids in there, which is exciting to see. I love seeing Frankie and all the kids there play together.
Yeah. You know, you probably, and the thing is, you're not going to miss, like, when he's starting to walk and starting to, you know, make different sounds and things.
I can just run in.
Yeah, you'll be there. Yeah.
Peek through my window.
And you'll see, like, I've got some old photos of Frankie, because she started in the kirikahurangi room when she was 18, maybe 16 or 18 months.
Yeah.
And I've got some photos, and Jenna Wood was part of the team there who'd followed her from New Shoots, actually. When I look back at that, I'm like, whoa, I forget how little she was. But again, we were there for a lot of that. Yeah, it's funny, people were like it because she was quite clingy, especially to Courtney. And people were like, oh, did she get any better? I'm like, no, she got real good when she turned 5 and went to school. But outside of that, she was a nightmare. But we wouldn't have changed anything because... Yeah,
you got to spend so much of that special time with her, right?
Yeah. It truly is a real benefit in there. So just to finish off, so you're going back into that chef space. How I know you are very experienced in that, but that focus of getting back to delivering on those spaces, how are you feeling about that?
I feel like I definitely, need to brush off my skills a little bit. But I cook at home all the time anyway. I feel a lot more confident coming in now, and I feel like I have a better knowledge of food to provide for babies.
Yes.
Previously, I didn't, before working for Future Focus, I didn't have a lot to do with children, apart from my nieces and nephews, at all. And even thinking back to before I went on maternity leave, the food I prepped for the babies was fine. But now I have a much better idea and like a wider range of ideas that I really want to try.
Yes.
Just better ways of cooking, prepping, all those things to get babies more comfortable with trying foods. Whereas previously, I just thought finger foods was, absolutely fine. Purees were fine. But, now I want to try maybe with babies who can't do finger foods, maybe just lightly mashed foods or, giving them better options and variety to actually help develop some of those skills.
Yes.
Because as we know, not every child has the same skills when it comes to eating food, even purees. I feel like I have better knowledge and experience now with that kind of thing. So I'm really excited to work with Sophie on being able to provide more for our babies.
Yeah. And which again is a really important part and part of that relationship with Simply Organic around providing real high quality food with clean foods with It's crazy that we have to say that, I guess. But growing up in New Zealand, you know, but yeah, it's cool to see the evolution of becoming a mum and, you know, dealing in that space for your own child and realising actually I'm learning and that's going to apply to my job and, you know, providing for other people's children in that space. Well, we're really excited to have you back. I don't know how excited you are, but but we are
I'm excited to come back.
We are really excited to have you back. You've been a critical part, and you and Team Te Care get to team up again, and you know, we look forward to having you back as part of the Livingston team.
Thanks. I look forward to being back, whether you believe it or not.
All right, up to us.